Welcome back, everyone. I am now, I figured I'm going to just share with you how I am modifying my decks, or my first time modifying a deck, because if you've watched my previous video, I have been wanting to modify the Druidcraft Tarot deck from a big, humongous deck that is very difficult for me to handle into a size that is more manageable for me. So I wanted to kind of share with you my journey and how how I've done so far and what I've done. So what I wanted to do was, first of all, find a deck that was inexpensive to myself and that I wouldn't feel terrible if it completely looked horrible at the very end. So, but surprise, to my surprise, I actually enjoyed I'm enjoying how it is turning out. It is actually turning out quite nice. So the deck that I'm using is the Universal Weight Tarot deck that I have purchased, and I got it for under $10, so I definitely wouldn't feel terribly bad cutting it up and stuff like that. So the reason is that I actually have quite a few other decks. So the one thing is that I have, and you probably have all seen it before, is I have the Radiant Rider-Waite Tarot. And I really like this deck. I love the color, the colorations. So let's move this out so you can actually see. So I really like the colorations. It's pretty glossy. It's a great starter deck. This was actually my very first Rider-Waite traditional deck that I've gotten. So it does get used a lot, and this deck is not modified. So, and I did look at this and think I want to modify it, I want to cut it down and stuff, but I began to notice that like the names, the numbers, and the words are in the border, you know. So the Two of Pentacles, let's see here, like the Hierophant, it's all in the border. So I could cut those off, and then once I cut those off, I would have to remember what they all are. And it's not that I don't remember what they are, but if I'm going to be doing a reading for somebody else and them, I don't know, I just think that it's a part of this deck. So I don't really consider this deck a deck that I would want to use to modify, so I don't. The other deck, and then I also have the tin version, which is a smaller version, and yeah, you're going to get a little bit of a thing of how many of these Rider-Waites I have. So you have this particular deck, and the tin version is a tiny version of the original size. So, and this deck, these decks are great for traveling with. So, you know, they come in a tin, so if you throw them in, you know, a bag or something, or backpack or whatever, they're not going to get wrecked or ruined. So, and then I also have a tin version of the Centennial. So, and this one is like, you know, is like the more traditional version, you know. And this one would lend itself to being modified, I see, because, you know, the numbers and the names are within the image. So, and you could take off the white border and you would get a borderless version. But since this is I only have the tin version, I don't want to modify it and make it even smaller than it already is. So I'm going to keep that just like that. So this was not a candidate. My last one, which I use in a lot of my videos, is the Centennial borderless version. So this kind of shows me how much I really actually like borderless type cards. And if you can see, there's, you know, it's just like, you know, the words are down here, the numbers are at the top. It's very traditional. I like it. And since this is borderless, this would not be conducive to modifying. So that meant I wanted to get another deck. Now, I don't mind having so many different types of Rider-Waite Smiths, because in some of my, in a lot of my readings, I sometimes use multiple decks. And when I use multiple decks, I like to have decks that are so different that I can literally tell. So like if I'm using the Radiant, I would use the Centennial to go on top if I'm using multiple decks. If I'm using my borderless one, I will often use my Radiant smaller one to complement that deck. So, but I needed a deck that I wanted to modify, and so I went and I picked up the Universal Weight because one, I don't have this deck. I don't have this copy. Now, I've already trimmed this deck. I've already trimmed it. I'm almost in the final stages of it being completed. So, let me pull everything out here. All right. So, here we are. Here's your little white book, is my trimmed version. Right? So, this is the original version. All right, I didn't trim the cards. So you could see that it definitely is a smaller version because, you know, I took off the white border. So, hang on, I got my kitty cat who wants out. All right, so here we go. Sorry about that. Anyways, so I've already trimmed it, and basically what I did when I was trimming it, I took my scissors and I didn't trim from this side. I trimmed from this side. Okay, here's a picture so you can see. I trimmed from this side and I just followed the black lines, and I try to do my best just to cut inside of it all the way across, all the way down, and all the way across. So I obviously started this way and I cut, then I started this way and I cut, then I cut this way, and then I cut this way. And then after I cut the edges off, I came in with my corner rounder, and I received this at my local craft store, and it's just the one, and I did the small. And this one's the small one. It's actually 5 millimeters, so you just kind of slide it in and then you trim it and it cuts. So, and you do that all the way around, you know, it's cutting it, you know, and then you just do that all 4 corners. So they are now all nicely rounded. So, but obviously when you cut it, it's going to be perfectly square. So after I finished cutting all of them, they turned out like this. So now I have a borderless version. I think it turned out really, really nice. Oh, I got a few upside down. It's all right. Anyways, so the very next thing I did was I edged it. Let's see if I can. So I edged it right there. Okay, now here's the thing. I thought this was black at first, but I realized it's a navy blue, so I had to go out and find a navy blue ink pad. Now, some people use Sharpies in order to do the edges. I ended up using the Distressed ink, and I just bought this. I had a coupon, so I got it, and I used, so I can use these for somebody else, but I used the Chipped Sapphire for this particular deck because see how blue it is? And this one really helped deal with the colorations. It's kind of trying to get it to show up in the light. You can kind of see it there. Okay, so I went ahead and I did that all the way around on all of these cards. And it already makes it, because it doesn't, I gotta, because now, I mean, there you go. So it already finishes it, because when you cut it, it's like the borders were white, right? But when you cut into the colored parts of the picture, now the borders were gray and all these different colors. So I went ahead and I edged every single one of them, and I ended up definitely using a paper towel. It's like I would edge it, you know, I would go through it, I would take this off, right? And there's your pad. And then I would edge it. I would just slide it across, slide it across, slide it across. But I would end up having to wipe it off with a paper towel. I have to wipe it off right here. Using a paper towel, just kind of going across the cards to get rid of the excess of ink on the card, so I didn't have it on the front because I didn't want all that ink blotchiness in the front, so I would wipe it off. It's pretty easy because these are laminate cards, so it does come off pretty easy. Anyway, so that's what I did with that. So once I finished that, I am now currently in the final stages. So I wanted this to have the gold that was also there. So I also got this ink set, and I've been now I've been running just a light layer of gold. It's the same thing. You can use a coupon. I got this half off, like $5. $5 here because they were $10 and I got a 50% off coupon. So put those up there. So I've been using the Brilliance Galaxy Gold. All right. And I have been going over it, and I'm going to show it to you now. Okay, so the reason why I do, if you can see how pretty that is, it's just a light dusting of gold, and it's glittery, glistening, right? And I did it, the reason why I'm doing it twice is because I wanted it to match. So if the gold rubs off, you're going to see the blue, right? So it's still going to match. And actually the gold tones begin to match. The gold tones begin to match the stars. So what I've been doing there, since I'm not done with this deck, I'm still working on it. So I'm just going to show you how the excessive ink goes. So this is the Brilliance, and I've been doing this. You need to if you're going to use this acid-free ink, which I've done Sharpies, and I really like it because it's a very instant dry, but if you're doing the pigment ink, you're going to need to let the cards dry several hours before you start using another color on it, because my gold, I noticed, started some of the bleed off of, there's some bleed off from the blue, but it's not really terrible bad. So I'm going to do this one, so just to show you how it can get all over the place, and how easy it is to clean up. So you want to just take your card and just slide it over, and you want to go again, and you go again, and you go again. And here's the thing, it is going to be messy. It's going to get all over your fingers. So make sure you get the corners pretty good. So anyways, so now that I did that, when you turn it over, you notice you have excess ink all on the sides, and that's not what you want. So just take a paper towel, and I just kind of go and pull it off. I'm doing this at night, so I have to get the light to show. So go. And then if you make sure it's not on the back, so now you kind of cleaned it off, it looks better. Turn it over. Make sure you don't have any extra ink. Now you're just pulling it off the tops and the backs, right? Pulling off the tops and the back, but you're still going to get that slight shimmer on the edge. So when you put it on the deck, you're going to get that. So it's just, I think it's going to be a nice addition when I get finished. So that is kind of how I'm modifying the decks. It's not terribly hard, you know. I really, like I said, I like this. And you know what? This one thing that I really like about this Universal Weight Tarot deck that I didn't notice before, it's color pencil. And it's really, I really became to really appreciate these colors. So when you're down here, it's like, oh, these are really, really bright. But it's not computer generated. It's like water. It's like colored pencils. It's really nice. Anyways, so that is how I deal with that. And I think eventually when it's all said and done, I think it's going to turn out really nice. You could leave it in this nice blue color, but I think the gold will really add to this deck. So that's how I do that. You see, make sure your cards are dry before you move on to step 2 if you're going to layer your colors. So that's how I'm modifying my deck. That is how I'm going to be doing this deck. So I'm going to cut off the edges. I will round them with a corner. And then I will determine what color, which I probably will use a brown. I have a mahogany brown. Oops. Hey, that's all just come out fabulously. Anyways, I have a mahogany brown. I don't know. That might work for this particular one. All right. So I can go ahead and edge them. And I don't know. I don't know if I'll be finished with that. I might just finish with the brown. I could very well decide to put some glimmer on it. There's like a copper. I have a copper, there's a platinum, and then there's a starlight silver. I haven't decided yet, but that is what I'm going to plan on doing. I might just keep it a brown. I might go look for different types of inks, but I might use the mahogany for this, or I'll probably go out and find a different brown. But that's how I'm going to modify these decks. I'll end up showing you if I'm not using it in a reading when I'm doing a video. I'm going to try to do various different types of readings. I do definitely want to get back into doing crop circles, but I had to get a different deck in terms of I needed an assist deck, and I've got that deck, and so I think I'm going to get ready to go. I know this crop circle season is winding down, but there's also other things I want to read about. I'll still try to do some current events. There's some crazy stuff going on with current events. I'm also going to try to do different techniques and help people on their way, on their journeys, because we all struggle, and maybe there's some stuff that the cards can tell us on how to handle the challenges that we all face. Anyways, but this is my modification video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and you'll get to see this eventually all done, because I definitely will be using it in one of my videos coming up. So until next time, have a good day.